I never thought serving champagne to grieving people would save my life. But then again, I never thought I'd be the one to bring a dead man back from his own funeral. The Grandview Country Club ballroom reeked of lilies. Not the delicate kind you'd find at a wedding. These were funeral lilies, thick and cloying, their perfume mixed with expensive cologne and the sharp tang of fear nobody wanted to admit they felt. 200 people in designer black, whispering behind crystal glasses, while a dead man lay in an open casket at the front of the room. I adjusted my catering uniform for the third time, smoothing the cheap polyester over my hips. The fabric was stiff, uncomfortable, a constant reminder that I didn't belong here. None of the servers did. We were ghosts ourselves, invisible hands refilling drinks and clearing plates while the rich mourned one of their own. My feet ached. This was my second double shift this week, and I'd barely slept 4 hours between jobs. But Jamie's next treatment was due in 3 days, and I was still $2,000 short. $2,000 might as well be $2 million when you're working 3 jobs and your 14-year-old brother is dying of cancer. So I smiled. I nodded. I kept my eyes down and my mouth shut, just like they'd told us in the pre-event briefing. The Volkov family funeral wasn't just the biggest private event the club had hosted all year. It was the most dangerous. Everyone knew who Damien Volkov was, what he was. The newspapers called him a real estate mogul. The streets called him something else entirely. And now he was dead at 39, laid out in a casket that probably cost more than my annual rent. "Refresh the flowers near the casket," my supervisor hissed, shoving a basket of white roses into my hands. "And don't touch anything else." I made my way through the crowd, weaving between clusters of mourners who didn't bother moving out of my way. Why would they? I was furniture. Background noise. Nobody. The casket sat on a raised platform, surrounded by enough flowers to open a shop. Damien Volkov looked almost peaceful, hands folded over his chest, dressed in a suit that probably cost more than my car. His face was pale, waxy, perfectly composed. Silver threaded through his dark hair at the temples. Strong jaw, high cheekbones. He would have been handsome if he wasn't dead. I reached out to adjust the roses near his shoulder, and that's when I saw it. The barely perceptible rise and fall of his chest. My breath caught. I froze, roses trembling in my hands. No, I was seeing things. I had to be. The man was dead. The medical examiner had signed off. The family had held a wake. This was his funeral. But I'd taken anatomy in my 1 semester of nursing school before I'd had to drop out. I knew what breathing looked like, even the shallow kind. My fingers moved before my brain could stop them, pressing against the side of his neck where his pulse should be. His skin was cool but not cold, and there, faint, so faint I almost missed it, the flutter of a heartbeat. "Oh my God," I whispered. Then I screamed, "He's alive! He's still alive!" The room erupted. Someone dropped a glass. A woman shrieked. Men shouted. But I couldn't hear them over the roar of blood in my ears as I ripped open his shirt, buttons scattering across the marble floor, and started CPR. My hands found the center of his chest. 30 compressions. 2 breaths. My nursing instructor's voice echoed in my head, mechanical, keeping rhythm. "Get her away from him." A man's voice, sharp with authority. "She's crazy." "Someone call security." But I didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Because Damien Volkov's eyes were opening. Golden eyes. Bright as honey in sunlight. Burning with an intensity that stopped my heart, even as I was trying to restart his. They locked onto my face with the focus of a predator spotting prey, and I felt the weight of that gaze like a physical thing. His hand shot up, fingers wrapping around my wrist with crushing strength. His lips moved, and when he spoke, his voice was rough gravel, barely audible over the chaos. "Who sent you to finish the job?" The words didn't make sense. Finish what job? I was just trying to save him. I opened my mouth to explain, to tell him I was nobody, just a waitress who'd taken 1 semester of nursing classes and happened to notice what everyone else had missed. But I never got the chance. Hands grabbed me from behind, yanking me away from the casket. My knees hit the marble hard enough to send pain shooting up my legs. Someone was yelling, multiple someones, and through the forest of legs and designer shoes, I saw Damien Volkov sit up in his coffin like something out of a nightmare. "Constantine," he said, his voice stronger now. "Take her." The man who'd grabbed me was built like a concrete wall, with a scarred face and eyes as dead as the man in the casket should have been. He hauled me to my feet with no effort at all, his grip on my arm tight enough to bruise. "Wait." I tried to pull away. I was just trying to help. Move. Constantine's accent was thick, Eastern European, leaving no room for argument. He dragged me through the crowd. People parted for us like we were diseased. I caught glimpses of faces, shock, confusion, fear, before Constantine shoved me through a service door and down a flight of stairs I'd never noticed before. The basement was concrete and fluorescent lights, nothing like the marble and crystal upstairs. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. The air smelled damp, metallic, like old blood and newer fear. Constantine pushed me into a windowless room with a metal table and 2 chairs. The door slammed shut behind us with the finality of a coffin lid closing. "Sit." I sat. My hands were shaking. My uniform was torn at the shoulder. There was blood on my knees from where I'd hit the floor. "I don't understand," I said, hating how my voice trembled. "I was trying to save him. He wasn't breathing." "You had 12 hours, Constantine said, his voice flat. "Prove you're not the one who tried to kill him, or you become the next body we bury." The room tilted. "Tried to kill him?" "They thought I'm just a waitress," I whispered. Constantine pulled out his phone, pressed a button, and set it on the table. A screen flickered to life, showing multiple camera angles of the room we were in, and in one corner of the screen, a different room entirely. An office, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows, and Damien Volkov, very much alive, watching me through the camera with those golden eyes that saw everything. "Then start talking," Constantine said, "and pray he believes you." The screen didn't blink. Damien Volkov didn't move. He just watched, waited. And I realized with cold, creeping horror that I'd just saved the life of the city's most dangerous man. And he thought I was the one who'd tried to end it. Are you scared for me already? Because I know I was terrified at that moment, so please, like and subscribe as I figure out why I ended up in this mess in this first place. Constantine didn't touch me. He didn't have to. The way he stood, perfectly still, arms crossed, blocking the only door, told me everything I needed to know about my chances of getting out of this room alive. "Name," he said. "Iris Kovich." My voice sounded small in the concrete space. "I work for the catering company. 3 jobs, actually. This is my 2nd shift today. I serve drinks, I clean tables, I'm nobody." "Nobody doesn't check pulse." "I took nursing classes." The words tumbled out too fast. "1 semester. I had to drop out when my brother got sick, but I learned enough to know what breathing looks like. And he was breathing." Constantine's expression didn't change. "Brother's sick with what?" "Cancer. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia." My throat tightened. "He's 14. The treatment is expensive, experimental. That's why I work 3 jobs. That's why I'm here tonight. I needed the overtime pay." "Treatment from who?" "Dr. Victor Resnick." The name felt normal in my mouth. Safe. The kind doctor who'd offered Jamie a spot in his trial when every other hospital had turned us away. "He runs a private clinic downtown. He's been treating Jamie for 6 months." Constantine went rigid. Just for a second. A flash of something crossing his scarred face, but I saw it. He turned away, pulling out his phone, speaking low and fast in a language I didn't understand. Russian, maybe. Or Ukrainian. Whatever it was, it sounded urgent. He left without another word. The door slammed. The lock clicked. I was alone with the cameras and the man watching through them. I looked up at the lens, directly into Damien Volkov's golden eyes, even though he was somewhere else in this building. "I'm telling the truth," I said to the empty room. "I don't know who tried to kill you. I just saw you breathing, and I couldn't. My voice cracked. Nobody deserves to be buried alive. The camera didn't respond. Of course it didn't. I don't know how long I sat there. 5 minutes, 10, long enough for my hands to stop shaking and the cold to seep into my bones. Long enough to realize that even if they believed I wasn't an assassin, I'd still seen too much. Knew too much. You didn't witness a mafia boss's failed murder and walk away to tell the story. Jamie was going to wake up tomorrow, and I wouldn't be there. The thought hurt worse than anything. The door opened, but it wasn't Konstantin who walked in. It was him. Damien Volkov moved like violence wrapped in expensive fabric. He'd changed from his funeral suit into dark slacks and a white shirt, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms roped with muscle and marked with scars. He was taller than I'd realized, tall enough to make the room feel smaller just by being in it. His presence pressed against my skin like heat from a fire. He sat down across from me, those golden eyes never leaving my face. "Viktor Resnick," he said, his voice rough silk. "Tell me about him." "He's Jamie's doctor. He offered us a spot in his experimental trial when everyone else said there was nothing they could do. He's been kind, professional. The treatment works sometimes. Other times," I swallowed. "Other times Jamie gets worse and Dr. Resnick adjusts the dosage." "How much do you pay him?" $15,000 a month. Damien's jaw tightened. "For experimental treatment. I know it's a lot. Defensive now. But Jamie's alive. That's all that matters." "Viktor Resnick," Damien said slowly, "is my godfather. He's also my organization's medical consultant. And according to the tox screen my personal physician just ran on me, he's been poisoning me with tetrodotoxin for the past 6 months." The room spun. "What?" "Small doses. Enough to mimic declining health, stroke symptoms, memory issues, fatigue." His fingers drummed once on the metal table. "Elegant, slow, virtually undetectable unless you're specifically looking for it. The perfect way to kill someone and make it look natural." "No." I shook my head. "Dr. Resnick wouldn't." "Your brother's treatment." Damien leaned forward. "The one that works sometimes and fails other times. How much do you think he's actually giving the boy? And how much is saline and empty promises to keep you desperate and paying?" The air left my lungs. "He's been using you," Damien continued, his voice softer now but no less dangerous. "Bleeding you dry to fund his gambling debts while keeping your brother sick enough to need him. And he used his access to me to commit murder. He just didn't count on someone actually checking if I was dead." My hands pressed flat against the table. "Jamie is being transferred to my estate's medical wing as we speak. My physicians will evaluate him. If Victor's been diluting his treatment, we'll fix it." "Why?" The word came out broken. "Why would you help us?" Damien Volkov stood, looking down at me with an expression I couldn't read. "Because you saved my life, Iris Kovac, and because Victor made one fatal miscalculation." He turned toward the door, then paused. "He assumed no one would care enough about a corpse to check for a pulse. He didn't account for someone like you." His golden eyes found mine one last time. "You're staying at the estate. Protected custody. Non-negotiable. Victor knows you saw him tonight. If he realizes you're alive and talking, you become a liability. I'm not going anywhere until I see my brother." Something that might have been respect flickered across his face. "Konstantin will take you to him." He left. The door stayed open this time, and I sat there, trying to process that I'd just gone from poverty to prison, saved a monster from death, and condemned the man who'd been saving my brother to execution. The city's most dangerous man had just become my only protection against the doctor I'd trusted with Jamie's life. The Volkov estate wasn't a house. It was a fortress pretending to be one. Konstantin drove us through gates that could stop a tank, past guards with rifles, up a driveway lined with trees that probably cost more than my yearly salary. The mansion rose out of the darkness like something from a movie, all stone and glass and sharp angles, lit from below so it looked like it was floating. I pressed my face against the bulletproof window, trying to process that this was real, that I was here, that somewhere inside, my brother was being cared for by people who might actually save him. Inside, Constantine said when the car stopped. A housekeeper met us at the door. Older woman, kind eyes, hands that moved with practiced efficiency. She didn't ask questions, didn't look surprised to see a terrified waitress in a torn uniform being escorted into the mansion at midnight. "Second floor, east wing," she said to Constantine. "The blue room. I've prepared clothes and toiletries." "My brother," I started. "Medical wing, third floor, west side. Mr. Volkov's orders are that you see him first." Relief hit so hard my knees went weak. The medical wing looked like a private hospital, all white walls and gleaming equipment and the soft beep of monitors. Jamie was in a bed by the windows, hooked up to an IV, his pale face peaceful in sleep. A doctor I didn't recognize stood nearby, reviewing charts on a tablet. "Iris Kovach?" The doctor looked up. "I'm Dr. Chen. I've been reviewing your brother's medical history. The treatment he's been receiving is..." She paused, choosing words carefully. "Inconsistent. Some doses appear to have been diluted significantly. Others, not at all. It's a miracle he's survived this long. Can you help him?" "Yes." Simple, direct. "But it will take time to stabilize him and establish a proper treatment protocol. He's staying here for at least 2 weeks. I sank into the chair beside Jamie's bed, taking his hand. His fingers were warm, alive, more color in his cheeks than I'd seen in months. "Thank you," I whispered. Dr. Chen left us alone. I sat there for an hour, maybe more, watching Jamie breathe. Steady, even, safe. When I finally stood to leave, Constantine was waiting in the hallway. "Your room," he said. The blue room was bigger than my entire apartment. King-sized bed, sitting area, bathroom in white marble and gold that looked like it belonged in a palace. Clothes hung in the closet, jeans, shirts, dresses, all in my size. How did they know my size? "You don't leave the estate," Constantine said from the doorway. "Grounds are acceptable with escort. No phone calls, no internet, no contact with outside. So I'm a prisoner? You're protected." His scarred face softened slightly. "There's a difference. Breakfast at 7. Mr. Volkov expects you in his office at 8. He closed the door. I heard no lock click, but the message was clear. I was trapped in luxury. I showered because I smelled like fear and funeral flowers, put on borrowed clothes that fit too well, lay on a bed softer than clouds and stared at the ceiling until exhaustion pulled me under. The next morning, Constantine knocked at 7 sharp. Breakfast was in a dining room built for 20 but set for 2. Damien sat at the head of the table in a charcoal suit, reading something on his phone. He looked up when I entered, and I felt that golden gaze like a touch. "Sit." I sat. A woman I hadn't seen before brought coffee, eggs, toast. The food smelled incredible. My stomach reminded me I hadn't eaten since yesterday morning. "Your brother is stable," Damien said. "Dr. Chen says his prognosis is good with proper treatment." "Thank you." The words felt inadequate. "Don't thank me yet." He set down his phone. "Victor knows you're here. He called this morning, asking about the disturbance at the funeral. I told him it was handled. But he's smart. He'll figure out you're alive eventually." "And then?" "Then he becomes desperate. Desperate men make mistakes." Damien's fingers drummed once on the table. "You'll stay here until we have enough evidence to move against him. A week, maybe 2. What happens to him when you have evidence?" "You don't want to know." I probably didn't. But I met his eyes anyway. "He kept my brother sick, on purpose, for money." "Yes." "Good." The word came out harder than I expected. "I hope he suffers." Something flickered in Damien's expression. Surprise, maybe, or approval. "Eat. Then meet me in my office. I have questions about Victor's operation, every detail you remember." The office was all dark wood and leather, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Damien sat behind a desk that probably cost more than a car, and I sat across from him like a student called to the principal. He asked questions. I answered. What times did Victor work? Who else was at the clinic? How did payments work? Did I ever see him meet with anyone unusual? An hour passed, then 2. Somewhere in the middle, Damien ordered lunch brought in. We ate while talking, and it felt almost normal. Almost like I wasn't discussing my brother's would-be killer with a man who probably had bodies buried in the woods behind this mansion. You notice things, Damien said finally. Details other people miss. I've been invisible my whole life. You learn to watch when nobody's watching you. I'm watching you now. The air shifted, charged. His golden eyes held mine, and I couldn't look away. Didn't want to. Why? My voice came out softer than intended. Because I can't figure you out. He leaned back in his chair. You saved my life. You're mourning the doctor who tried to kill me. You're terrified, but you don't run. You look at me like I'm a man instead of a monster, and I don't understand why. Maybe I see both. Silence stretched between us, long enough that I heard my own heartbeat, long enough to notice the way his jaw tightened, the way his fingers stilled on the desk. That's dangerous, he said finally. So are you. Yes. He stood, and I realized how much space he took up just by existing. But I'm not dangerous to you, Iris Kovac. That's the difference. He walked me to the door. His hand brushed my lower back, barely contact at all, but I felt it like electricity down my spine. Constantine will take you back to Jamie, tomorrow, same time. I nodded because I didn't trust my voice. As I left, I felt his eyes on me, watching, always watching, and I realized with dangerous clarity that I didn't mind. Days blurred into a rhythm I never expected. Mornings with Jamie, watching him grow stronger. His color returned. His laugh came back. Dr. Chen said his cancer markers were dropping for the first time in months. Real treatment, she explained. Not whatever diluted poison Victor had been feeding him. Afternoons in Damien's office, answering questions that became conversations. He taught me chess, using the game to explain how his empire worked. Territory, leverage, knowing when to sacrifice a piece to protect the king. You're good at this, he said one afternoon, studying the board between us. I'm good at surviving. Same principles. His lips curved, almost a smile. Move your knight. I did. He captured it with his rook 3 moves later. You're thinking too small, he said. Stop trying to survive. Start trying to win. Evenings were family dinners I learned to dread. Damien's Aunt Sonia sat to his right, elegant, cold, running the financial operations with the precision of a surgeon. She looked at me like I was dirt on her expensive shoes. His cousin Alexei sat across from me, all oiled charm and wandering eyes that made my skin crawl. He handled enforcement, Constantine had mentioned. The violent side of the business. And Victor. God, Victor still came to dinner. The first time I saw him after that night, my hands shook so badly I dropped my fork. He froze in the doorway when he spotted me, his kind doctor face slipping for just a second before sliding back into place. Miss Kovac, he said smoothly. I'm so glad you're well. The commotion at the funeral was handled. Damien interrupted, his voice flat. Sit down, Victor. The dinner was torture. Victor kept asking me questions. How was I adjusting? Was I comfortable? Did I need anything? And I had to smile and lie while rage boiled in my chest. This man had kept Jamie sick, had poisoned Damien, had almost succeeded in murder. And he sat there eating pasta like nothing was wrong. After, when Victor left, Damien summoned me to his office again. You handled that well, he said. I wanted to stab him with my dinner knife. I know, I saw. He poured whiskey into 2 glasses, offered me one. I took it this time. He suspects, but he can't be sure. We need more time. How much time? My investigators are tracking his financials, building a case, another week. I drank. The whiskey burned going down. Another week of pretending. Yes. And then? Then I handle it. His golden eyes met mine. And you don't ask how. I nodded, drank again, put the glass down too hard. I need air. Damien called Constantine, who escorted me to the estate's gardens. It was late, cold, the city lights visible in the distance. I walked until my breath came easier, until the anger settled into something I could carry. When I turned back, Damien was there. No Constantine, just him, hands in his pockets, watching me. You don't need to babysit me, I said. I'm not. He moved closer. I'm taking a walk. In your own garden. It's a nice night. We walked in silence. The path wound through sculpted hedges, past fountains that probably cost more than my childhood home. Everything here was beautiful and dangerous, like the man beside me. Can I ask you something? I said finally. You can ask. I might not answer. That thing you do, in the basement, the violence, does it bother you? He stopped walking, looked at me for a long moment. No. Why not? Because the people I hurt have hurt others first. They've broken rules, betrayed trust, caused harm. I don't enjoy it, but I don't lose sleep over it either. His jaw tightened. Does that scare you? Yes. Good. You should be scared. I am. I turned to face him fully, but not of you. You should be scared of me most of all. Why? I stepped closer. Because you brought my brother here? Because you're protecting me? Because you taught me chess and remembered I take my coffee with too much sugar? His hands came out of his pockets. Because I want things I shouldn't want. And when I want something, I take it. What do you want? You. Raw, honest, dangerous. From the moment you put your hands on my chest and refuse to let me die. And that makes you a target, Iris. Everyone in my world will see you as a weakness, a way to hurt me. My heart hammered. So, what do we do? You leave, after Victor is handled. I set you up somewhere safe, far from here. Give you money for Jamie's treatment. You forget this ever happened. Is that what you want? No. The word came out rough. But it's smart, and I've stayed alive this long by being smart. What if I don't want smart? I was close enough to feel the heat of him now. What if I want this? You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. For a second, he didn't move, just looked at me with those golden eyes that burned like fire. Then his hand came up, fingers sliding into my hair, tilting my face up to his. Last chance to run, he whispered. I didn't run. He kissed me like a man drowning, desperate and demanding and absolutely certain. His other hand found my waist, pulled me flush against him, and I made a sound I didn't recognize. Need. Want. Hunger. I kissed him back like I'd been waiting for this. Maybe I had been. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. This is a mistake, he said. I know. You'll get hurt. I don't care. I do. He pulled back enough to meet my eyes. I care too much, and that's the problem. Then don't let me get hurt. His laugh was dark. It's not that simple. Why not? Because gunshots, distant but unmistakable. 3 of them, rapid fire. Damien moved like lightning, shoving me behind him, gun appearing in his hand from somewhere I hadn't seen. Constantine materialized from the shadows, weapon drawn, speaking rapid Russian into a radio. Estate breach, Constantine said. South perimeter, 3 hostiles. Get her inside! Damien's voice was ice. Now! I'm not leaving you. That wasn't a request. He looked at me once more, and his eyes held something I couldn't name. Go, please! Constantine grabbed my arm. I fought him for a second before letting him pull me toward the mansion. Behind us, more gunshots, shouting, the organized chaos of violence. Inside, Constantine locked me in my room. Stay here. Don't open door for anyone but me or Mr. Volkov. Then he was gone. I paced, listened to muffled sounds of combat, checked on Jamie through the security monitor Constantine had shown me, still sleeping, unaware, safe in the medical wing with armed guards at his door. An hour passed, then another. Finally a knock. "It's me," Damien's voice. I opened the door. He was still in his clothes from earlier, but blood spattered his shirt and his knuckles were bruised. Alive. Whole. "You're okay," I breathed. "Victor sent them." He stepped inside, closed the door. 3 men. Contract killers. They're dead now. "Good." He studied my face. "You mean that?" "I told you, I hope he suffers." Something shifted in his expression. He crossed the room in 2 steps, framed my face with his hands, and kissed me again. Slower this time. Deeper. Like he was memorizing the taste of me. "I can't let you go," he whispered against my lips. "I know I should. I know it's dangerous, but I can't." "Then don't. Iris, I see who you are, Damien. All of you. The violence and the chess lessons and the way you care about Jamie even though you don't have to. I see it, and I'm not running." His hands tightened in my hair. "If you stay, this changes everything. You become part of my world, my protection, mine." "I know. Say it." His voice dropped lower. "Say you understand." "I understand." I met his burning gaze. "And I'm choosing this anyway." He kissed me again, and this time there was no hesitation. Just need and want and the dangerous certainty that we were both making a choice we couldn't take back. When he lifted me, I wrapped my legs around his waist. When he carried me to the bed, I pulled him down with me, and when he whispered my name like a prayer, I whispered his back like a promise. This was reckless, dangerous, probably going to get me killed. But for the first time in my life, I felt seen, wanted, alive. And I wasn't giving that up for anything. How could I? I'm sure some of you have been in similar situations. Tell me about it in the comments, and while you're at it, like and subscribe if you really want to show your support. I mean, it's not every day you save a man at his own funeral. Give me some accolades, please. 3 weeks passed, and I forgot what fear tasted like. Jamie was thriving. His cancer markers dropped so low, Dr. Chen started using words like remission and recovery. He'd gained weight, color in his cheeks, started talking about going back to school like a normal kid. Watching him laugh with Damien's younger cousins in the estate's game room, I barely recognized the pale, dying boy from a month ago. I barely recognized myself either. Mornings, I managed the organization's new humanitarian fund. Damien's idea, my execution. Using blood money to fund cancer research, pay for treatments for families like mine used to be, protect people from predators like Victor. It felt like redemption. Like I could love this man and still keep my soul. Afternoons, Damien taught me more than chess. He showed me how his empire worked, the legitimate businesses, the gray areas, the lines he wouldn't cross. He was brutal with enemies but fair with allies. He protected his people absolutely, and somewhere along the way, I'd become his people. More than that, I'd become his. "You're good at this," he said one afternoon, reviewing my proposal to expand the medical fund. We were in his office, me at the desk, him standing behind my chair with his hands on my shoulders. The casual intimacy of it still made my breath catch. "At spending your money?" "At seeing what needs to be done and doing it." His thumbs rubbed circles at the base of my neck. "At making my world better just by being in it." I leaned back against him. "Your family still hates me." "Sonia's warming up. She respects competence." He pressed a kiss to the top of my head. "Alexei is irrelevant. And Victor," my body went rigid at the name. "We have enough evidence," Damien continued quietly. "Financial records, testimony from patients he exploited, the tox screens. We move against him tomorrow." "Good." I turned in the chair to face him. "I want to be there." "No." "Damien, this isn't a negotiation, Iris. You don't need to see what happens to men who betray me. He kept my brother dying. On purpose. For money." My hands fisted. I deserve to watch him face consequences. His golden eyes studied me, and I saw the moment he recognized something in my expression. something harder than I used to be. "You've changed," he said. "You changed me." I don't know if that's good or bad. It's necessary. I stood, pressing close to him. I can't be the scared waitress anymore. Not in your world, so let me be what I'm becoming. He framed my face with his hands, and I saw conflict war in his expression, wanting to protect me, wanting to respect my choice. Finally, he nodded. "You stay in the car with Constantine. You don't come inside. You don't see." "Agreed." He kissed me hard, like he was trying to save me from myself. Too late for that. That night, the package arrived. I was in the library, reading before bed, when a maid brought me a manila envelope. No return address, no markings, just my name in block letters. Inside, photographs. Jamie in the medical wing, asleep, peaceful. But someone had drawn red crosshairs over his face, over his chest, over his head. My hands shook so badly the photos scattered across the floor. Damien found me there 5 minutes later, frozen, staring at images of my brother turned into targets. He picked up one photo. His expression went glacial. "Constantine!" The enforcer appeared within seconds. "Lock down the medical wing. Triple the guards on the boy. Find out how these were taken and who delivered them." Damien's voice was ice and death. "Now!" Constantine disappeared. Damien pulled me to my feet, hands on my shoulders, forcing me to meet his eyes. "Jamie is safe. He's in the most secure location in the city. Nothing will touch him." "They got close enough to photograph him." My voice cracked. "Close enough to—" "They won't get closer. I swear to you, Iris. On my life, nothing will happen to your brother." A phone rang. Damien answered, listened, his expression darkening with each second. When he hung up, his jaw was tight enough to shatter. "Victor's gone. He cleaned out his accounts, destroyed records, disappeared 8 hours ago." He pulled up security footage on his phone, showed me empty office, cleaned out safe. "But he left something in the clinic." He turned the phone. A video recording, Victor's face filling the screen. "Damien." Victor's voice was smooth, controlled, nothing like the kind doctor I'd known. "By now you've found the photos. Consider them a courtesy. I could have simply taken the boy, but I'm a civilized man. I don't want to hurt children. I want— What's mine?" My stomach dropped. "You have 24 hours, Victor continued. "Bring me written transfer of organizational control, your signature transferring all assets and operations to my management, and I'll return young James unharmed. Come alone to the lake house. If I see anyone else, guards, police, that bitch you've been fucking, the boy dies. If you refuse, the boy dies. If you try to find me, the boy dies. 24 hours, Damien. Your empire or her brother. Choose." The video ended. Silence filled the office like water filling lungs. "He's bluffing," I said, trying to convince myself. "Jamie's here. He's safe. Victor can't—" "Check the medical wing," Damien said quietly into his phone. We waited. Seconds felt like years. Constantine's voice came back, rough with fury. "The boy is gone. Shift change at 2100 hours. Someone inside helped. We're searching." Damien ended the call. Looked at me with something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Helplessness. "I'll give him everything," he said. "The empire, the assets, all of it. I don't care. We get Jamie back, then I rebuild." "No." My voice came out stronger than I felt. "If you give him the empire, he'll kill you both anyway. He can't leave witnesses, and he'll keep exploiting people like me, like Jamie, forever. Then what do you suggest?" His hands cupped my face. "Because I will not let your brother die, Iris. I don't care what it costs. Victor thinks I'm nobody. He called me that bitch you've been fucking like I'm decoration, irrelevant." My mind raced, pulling together everything Damien had taught me about strategy, territory, leverage. He doesn't know I've changed. He doesn't know what you've been teaching me. "Where are you going with this?" "I go to the exchange." I grabbed his wrists. held his hands against my face. You wire me. Your team infiltrates while Victor's focused on me. I keep him talking, confirm Jamie's location, and when you have position, absolutely not. It's the only play that doesn't end with you dead and Jamie still his hostage. I won't risk you. You don't get to decide. I pulled away from him, pacing. Jamie is my brother, my responsibility. I've been powerless my whole life, Damien. Don't make me powerless now, not when I can actually do something. He caught my arm, spun me to face him. If something happens to you, then you burn Victor's world to the ground and adopt my brother. But nothing's going to happen. Because you taught me to think like you, to play chess, to sacrifice the queen to checkmate the king. You're not a chess piece, Iris. You're... His voice cracked. You're everything. I kissed him, hard and desperate and probably goodbye. Then trust me. Trust what you built in me. Let me be the queen who saves her family. For a long moment, he just held me. His forehead pressed to mine, breathing like it hurt. Constantine teaches you every self-defense move he knows, he said finally. You wear a vest under your clothes. You follow the plan exactly. And if Victor puts a gun on you, I disarm him. You see me practice. If you can't disarm him, then you take the shot. I trust you. His laugh was broken. I love you. I don't know when it happened or how, but I would burn this entire city to ash before I'd let anyone hurt you. I know. I touched his face, memorized every line. I love you too. Now let's go get my brother back. The next 23 hours were preparation. Constantine drilled me on disarming techniques until my muscles screamed. Damien's tech team fitted me with a wire so small it was invisible. His tactical squad studied blueprints of Victor's lake house, planned entry points, synchronized timing, and Damien barely left my side. We didn't sleep, just held each other in his bed, memorizing the feel of it, just in case. Come back to me, he whispered in the darkness. That's an order. Always, I promised, and prayed it wasn't a lie. Victor's lake house was beautiful in the way dangerous things often are. Isolated, surrounded by forest, perfect for screaming where no one would hear. I drove alone, as instructed, hands steady on the wheel despite my hammering heart. The wire pressed against my skin beneath the bulletproof vest. 3 SUVs followed at a distance, Damien in the lead vehicle, close enough to respond, but far enough not to be spotted. The house rose from the trees like a wound. Modern glass and steel, all sharp angles and reflective surfaces. 2 cars in the driveway, lights on inside. I parked, took a breath, touched the wire. I'm here, I said softly. We're in position. Damien's voice in my ear, steady, controlled. You don't have to do this. Say the word and we extract you right now. I'm doing this. I got out of the car, walked to the door. It opened before I could knock. Alexi stood there, gun in hand, smirking. The little waitress came to save her baby brother. How touching. My blood went cold. Alexi, of course. Victor wasn't working alone. Where's Jamie? I kept my voice level. Inside, with Victor. You're expected. He gestured with the gun. After you. I walked into the house, hyper-aware of Alexi behind me, weapon pointed at my back. The wire would be picking up everything. Damien would know about Alexi now. Adjust the plan. The main room was all windows overlooking the lake. Victor stood by the glass, distinguished in a dark suit, looking nothing like the kind doctor who'd offered to save my brother. Jamie sat in a chair in the center of the room, hands zip-tied, duct tape over his mouth, eyes wide with fear. Jamie! I started toward him. Stop! Victor's voice cracked like a whip. You come closer. Alexi puts a bullet in you. Now, where's Damien? Preparing your documents. He'll be here within the hour. Victor laughed. You're a terrible liar, Iris. He's out there right now, isn't he? With his little army thinking. He's so clever. He walked to Jamie, put a gun to my brother's head. Tell him to come inside. Now! Alone! Or I paint the walls with this boy's brain. My hands shook. This wasn't the plan. Victor was supposed to gloat, give me time, let Damien's team get in position. But he knew. He'd known from the beginning. "Damien," I said, voice breaking. "He's got a gun on Jamie. He knows you're out there. He wants you inside. Alone." Silence in my ear. Then, "I'm coming in. No one moves until I signal." "No," I started. The wire went dead. Victor smiled. "Smart man. Too smart for his own good, really. That's always been his problem." He nodded to Alexei. "When he walks through that door, you shoot him." "Wait!" I moved forward before Alexei could stop me. "You want the Empire? You need Damien alive to sign the transfers. Kill him now, you get nothing. Legal challenges, frozen assets, years of litigation." Victor's expression flickered. I'd hit a nerve. "Smart," he admitted. "Maybe you're not as stupid as I thought. Fine. Alexei, when he enters, disarm him. We'll do this civilized." Footsteps on the porch. The door opened. Damien walked in, hands raised, unarmed, golden eyes sweeping the room, cataloging Jamie, me, Victor, Alexei, exits, weapons. In that split second, I saw him calculate a dozen scenarios, none of them good. "Let them go," he said quietly. "You've won, Victor. I'll give you everything. Just let Iris and the boy leave." "Oh, I'll let them go." Victor moved behind Jamie's chair. "After you sign, after I verify the transfers, after I'm certain you can't undo this." He pulled out papers, set them on a table. "Your empire, Damien. Everything you built. Sign it over, and maybe, I let them live." Damien's jaw tightened, but he moved toward the table. "Wait," I said. "Before you sign, I want to know why. He was your godson, Victor. You watched him grow up. Why try to kill him?" "Why?" Victor's laugh was bitter. "Because I built this empire as much as his father did. I kept everyone alive, patched up bullet wounds, disposed of evidence. And what did I get? Medical consultant, a salary, while Damien inherited everything, controlled everything, treated me like an employee. So this is about jealousy." I kept him talking, watching Alexei from the corner of my eye. His gun was pointed at Damien, but his attention kept drifting to the windows, nervous, waiting for the attack he knew was coming. "This is about what's owed." Victor pressed the gun harder against Jamie's head. My brother whimpered. "Sign, Damien. Now." Damien picked up the pen, and I saw my moment. Constantine's training kicked in before thought could stop me. 3 steps fast, while everyone's attention was on Damien. Grab Alexei's wrist, twist, elbow to his ribs. The gun went off, loud, wild, hitting nothing. But I had his wrist, turning the weapon away, and then Damien was moving, crossing the room like lightning. Victor spun, gun rising from Jamie's head, aiming at Damien. Constantine appeared from nowhere, literally nowhere, through a door I hadn't seen, and fired. Victor dropped. The room erupted into chaos. Alexei threw me off, scrambling for his fallen gun. I hit the floor hard, pain exploding through my shoulder. Damien was on Alexei in a second, brutal efficiency, fists connecting with bone. "Jamie!" I crawled toward my brother. Constantine was already there, cutting the zip ties, removing the tape. "You're safe. You're okay." Jamie collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I held him, shaking, while behind us Damien systematically destroyed Alexei. No weapons. Just hands. Just rage. "Damien, stop!" I called. "He's done! It's over!" Damien delivered one final blow that left Alexei unconscious on the floor. Then he turned to me, blood on his knuckles, chest heaving, looking like every nightmare people feared him to be. But when he knelt beside us, his hands were gentle as he checked me for injuries. "You were supposed to stay back," he said roughly. "You were supposed to wait for my signal." "There wasn't time." I touched his face. "He was going to kill you." "So you attacked an armed man with your bare hands?" "You taught me how." Something that might have been pride flickered in his eyes. "You saved yourself, and me, and your brother." "We saved each other." Sirens wailed in the distance. Damien's people arriving to clean up, to make Victor and Alexei disappear into whatever justice his world dispensed. Is he? I couldn't look at Victor's body. Dead, Constantine confirmed. Cousin, too, when he wakes up. Exile, if he's lucky. Damien pulled me and Jamie both into his arms. It's over. You're safe, both of you. Jamie was still crying, traumatized but alive. I held him and the man I loved, and felt something fundamental settle in my chest. I'd crossed a line tonight, committed violence, chosen this dark world definitively, and I didn't regret it. Take us home, I whispered to Damien. He kissed my forehead. Always. 2 hours later, Jamie was asleep in the medical wing, sedated, Dr. Chen monitoring him. Constantine had personally stationed 4 guards outside his door. I stood in Damien's bathroom, washing Victor's blood off my hands. The water ran pink, then clear. My reflection looked different, harder, older. Damien appeared in the doorway, cleaned up, changed, watching me with careful eyes. Are you okay? He asked. I watched a man die tonight. I know. I helped make it happen. I know that too. I dried my hands, turned to face him. I should feel guilty, or traumatized, or something. But all I feel is relief, and that terrifies me more than the violence did. He crossed to me, pulled me against his chest. You protected your family. That's not something to feel guilty about. Is that what you tell yourself? Every day. His arms tightened around me. I won't lie and say it gets easier, but it gets necessary, and you learn to carry it. I don't want to become numb to it. You won't. Not with me. I'll make sure you don't lose yourself in my world. He tilted my face up. You saved 3 lives tonight, Iris. Mine, Jamie's, and your own. You were magnificent and terrifying and exactly the partner I need. Partner, I repeated. Not possession. Partner, he confirmed. Equal, fierce. Mine only because you choose to be. I kissed him, tasting relief and future, and something that felt like forever. I choose you, I whispered against his lips. I'll keep choosing you, even knowing what it means. Even knowing you'll have to watch me be a monster sometimes. Even then. He carried me to bed, and we held each other through the night, 2 broken people building something whole from the wreckage of darkness. Outside, Constantine stood guard. The estate was locked down, and for the first time in weeks, the threat was gone. We'd survived, together. Now we just had to learn to live. 6 months later, I stood in front of a mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. The dress was ivory silk, simple but devastating, custom-made to fit like water. My hair was loose, the way Damien liked it. Diamond earrings, his mother's, caught the light. I looked like I belonged in this world now. Powerful, dangerous, loved. You ready? Jamie appeared in the doorway, 17 now, healthy, thriving, wearing a suit that made him look older than his years. His cancer had been in complete remission for 5 months. Dr. Chen called him her miracle case. I called him my reason for everything. I'm terrified, I admitted. Of marrying Damien? Of becoming his wife. Officially. Forever. I turned from the mirror. Of what that makes me in this world. Jamie crossed to me, took my hands. It makes you happy. I see how he looks at you, Iris. Like you hung the moon. Like he'd burn the entire world if it made you smile. His grip tightened. He saved my life. And you saved his. That's not something to be scared of. That's something to celebrate. When did you get so wise? When I stopped dying and started living. He kissed my cheek. Come on, he's waiting. The wedding was small, intimate, just the people who mattered. We'd chosen the estate gardens at sunset, everything gold and shadow. White roses everywhere. Damien remembered they were my favorite from that first night at his funeral. God, was that really only 6 months ago? Constantine stood beside Damien as best man, the brutal enforcer looking uncomfortable in formal wear. Sonia sat in the front row, grudging approval finally earned through months of proving my competence. Dr. Chen was there, and the staff who'd become family, and a handful of Damien's most trusted people. No one from my old life. That girl was gone. I'd mourned her and moved on. Jamie walked me down the aisle, his arms steady under mine. When we reached Damien, my brother placed my hand in his and whispered, "Take care of her, or I'll kill you myself." Damien's lips twitched. Understood. Then there was only him, golden eyes holding mine, strong hands engulfing my smaller ones. The rest of the world fading until it was just us and promises. "Iris Kovac," he began, his voice rough with emotion. "You saw me when I was dead. You brought me back to life. And every day since, you've given me a reason to truly live. I was a monster before you, cold, isolated, brutal, but you looked at the worst parts of me and chose to stay anyway." His thumbs stroked over my knuckles. "I can't promise I'll stop being dangerous. I can't promise this world won't touch you with darkness. But I can promise I'll spend every day building something worthy of you. Something good. I'll be the monster that protects you, the partner who respects you, and the man who loves you absolutely. This is my vow. You'll never be invisible again. You'll never be alone. And you'll never doubt that you're the best thing that ever happened to my broken life." Tears streamed down my face. "Damien Volkov," I said, voice shaking but steady. "I was nobody before you, invisible, surviving but not living. You gave me purpose, power, a place in a world I never imagined I'd belong to. But more than that, you saw me, truly saw me, and you made me believe I was worth seeing." I squeezed his hands. "I can't promise I won't challenge you. I can't promise I'll always agree with your choices. But I can promise I'll be your partner in all things, the light that balances your darkness, the conscience that guides your brutality, the love that redeems your violence. This is my vow. I choose you, knowing exactly who you are. I choose this life, accepting all it demands. And I choose us, believing we can build something beautiful from impossible circumstances." The officiant barely finished the words before Damien kissed me, deep, claiming his. Our guests cheered. Constantine actually smiled. Jamie whooped. And I thought, this is it. This is where invisible becomes unforgettable. The reception was elegant chaos. Champagne flowed, music played. Damien's business associates mingled with the few remaining family members who'd accepted our union. But the best part was dancing with him on the terrace as the sun set over the city he controlled, the city where I'd been nobody, now the city where I stood as his equal partner. "Happy?" he murmured against my temple. Terrified, thrilled, certain I'm making the best terrible decision of my life. His laugh rumbled through his chest. "That's the most honest thing anyone's ever said at their wedding." "I'm good at honesty now. You taught me that." I pulled back to look at him. "No regrets?" "Not one." His hands tightened on my waist. "You're my wife now. That means you're untouchable. Anyone who threatens you threatens me. And they know what happens to people who threaten me. Is it wrong that I find that romantic?" "Probably." He kissed me softly. "But I stopped caring about wrong and right the day you saved my life. Now, I only care about us." "Us," I repeated. I like the sound of that. 3 months later, I stood in our bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test. Damien found me there, frozen, the stick trembling in my hands. "Iris?" He crossed to me immediately. "What's wrong?" I held up the test, watched his eyes widen, watched shock become wonder, become fierce possessiveness. "We're pregnant," I whispered. "We're pregnant," he repeated, like testing the words. Then he laughed, actual joy, rare and precious, and lifted me off my feet, spinning me in the bathroom. "We're having a baby. Are you happy?" He set me down, cradled my face. "Happy doesn't begin to cover it. You gave me life once. Now you're giving me a future, a family. Everything I never thought I'd have. It's going to be complicated, Raising a child in your world? Our world, he corrected. And we'll figure it out, together. The way we figure everything out. I touched his face, memorized this moment. I love you, so much it scares me. I love you more, enough to become better for you, for our child, for the family we're building. 1 year later, I walked into the pediatric cancer wing of the new Kovac Medical Center, funded by the organization, managed by Dr. Chen, dedicated to providing free treatment to families who couldn't afford it. My daughter slept in a carrier against my chest, 6 months old, perfect, with her father's golden eyes and my dark hair. Sophia, named for Damien's mother. Jamie worked the front desk, studying for college entrance exams between shifts. Healthy, happy, alive. Damien waited by the entrance, powerful in a dark suit, commanding respect with just his presence. But when he saw me, his entire face softened. "Ready?" he asked. "Ready." We walked inside together, past patients and families who would get the treatment Jamie received, past staff who would never exploit vulnerability, past the physical proof that darkness could fund light. I'd started as a waitress, invisible, serving champagne at a funeral. Now I ran a humanitarian empire, loved a dangerous man, raised our daughter, and saved lives with the resources of a world I'd once feared. The transformation shouldn't have been possible, but here I stood, Iris Volkov, seen, powerful, loved, alive. "What are you thinking?" Damien whispered, his hand finding mine. "That I saved you first," I said, "but you saved me right back." "Every day," he agreed, "every single day." And as we toured the facility, Sophia sleeping peacefully against my heart, Jamie laughing with coworkers, Damien's hand steady in mine, I realized something fundamental. Sometimes the most impossible love stories are the ones most worth telling. We'd built something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal, violence, and near death. Built a family, a future, a life. Not despite our differences, but because of them. And that was worth every risk, every moral compromise, every terrifying choice. I'd stopped a Mafia boss's funeral to save his life. He'd given me a reason to truly live mine. Fair trade.